What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Rollie Rate Podcast. Hope you're doing well wherever you are listening to this one. This is like one of my many attempts of trying to film this. I screwed up about an hour and a half ago. I finished what I thought was going to be my main podcast film. Messed it up because I was saying Logano's name instead of Ryan Blaney's name when I was supposed to say Ryan Blaney's name. Excuse me. So we're going to redo it, and hopefully this is pretty good. It probably was pretty good if I'm posting it. So let's get into the podcast. Carson Brown won the NASCAR Series race Thursday night. We had practice and qualifying for the IndyCar Series and O'Reilly Series Friday night. And then we had an IndyCar race Saturday night. Joseph Newgarden got the win. That was a fun race to watch. And then the O'Reilly Series race was later that night. We had Justin Allgaier get another win. Came on late there and passed Jesse Love around 7 laps to go. And then the Cup Series race, which we're going to talk about right now. Ryan Blaney gets his first win in the 2026 season. He wins the Straight Talk Wireless 500. Fourth race of the season. Ryan Blaney is one of the best guys at this track. I think this is now, out of 9 races here, this is his 6th time finishing in the top 2. Pretty wild. Gets another win. He won here in the fall. Now wins here in the spring. His team made some bad pit stops, had loose wheels, had to tighten those things back up so they don't fall off during the race, crash his car. But his car was so good that he could just slice and dice his way through the field. He actually got back up there battling Christopher Bell in lap 246, used the bumper after battling Christopher Bell really hard. Christopher Bell was using the dirty air and kind of aero blocking him. But Blaney said, I'm done with that. I'm using that bumper. I got side by side with you. And then the caution came out. And then it got a little more intriguing with pit stops. Jostling for position. Blaney got back to second place with around 30 laps to go. Bell was still first. But he must have lost a little bit of speed. Maybe his tires were a little bit worn out. He went from 3 seconds back from Christopher Bell to then 3.5. And those 30 laps went through. I think Bell wins the race. But we got a caution with 25 laps to go. Austin Dillon blew a tire. We have pit stops, and that's where the strategy went kaboom on us. Because Ryan Blaney chose to go with 2 tires. And Christopher Bell, best car of the day, went with 4. Ryan came out of pit road second behind Ty Gibbs. And Bell came out 8th. Dropped 7 spots. Then we restart. With 17 laps to go. There's a crash in the back stretch. Bunch of cars involved. Blaney lost a spot, fell to 3rd. Christopher Bell stayed 8th. Well, then a couple laps go by. We restart with what I believe was 12 laps to go. Bell gains 4 spots on that 1 lap with 11 laps to go. Blaney gets to second. And then 10 laps to go, Blaney makes the pass for the lead on Ty Gibbs. Bell slices his dice, works a couple laps. 3 laps later, gets past both Larson and Gibbs to fall in the second. That was Christopher Bell. Make sure I'm saying his name and not someone else's. And then Bell, he had like 7 laps to go to try and run down Ryan Blaney. And he got, every lap he was getting a little bit closer. But he ran out of time, and Ryan Blaney gets the win. Man, Ryan Blaney, what we said, one of the best guys here. Penske was super fast. Logano was on the pole the majority of stage one, and then Blaney passes him. And then stage 2 was all kind of Blaney, just his team making those mistakes. Wasn't able to have a solid stage 2, right? But look, man, luckily they made the mistakes where they did in stage 2 and not in stage 3, so they had time to make it up. And their car was so freaking fast, and Blaney's just so good here. It all worked out. So congrats to Ryan Blaney. I think he's now minus 53 to tie the wreck. Ryan Blaney is second in the point standings. Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, I think finished 7th off the check, so he had our solid points today, but that's right where Ryan Blaney wants to be. We have heard, which we'll get into, when the NASCAR did their simulations on who won the championship, it was You got to be in the top 3 to start the chase to have a chance to win the championship. That's what that's what NASCAR data showed. So this is where you want to be, in the top 3 to start the chase. Now, we got to talk about Christopher Bell, though. Most dominant car in this entire race. He led 176 laps. Their pit crew was flawless. But the mistake they made was going for 4 tires at the end. Just like it bit Denny Hamlin last year for going for 4 tires last year and Larson went for 2, it did the same thing here. It bit them. Déjà vu. It bit Juggins Racing again from getting a win at Phoenix. Now look, if there isn't that caution on lap 17, that gives Bell more time to use those 4 tires. That was the thing they didn't calculate, right? Which they can't. Hamlin was a different story where he went with 4, only had 2 laps, and if he had 5 more laps, well, Hamlin probably wins the championship. But it didn't work out that way. And I feel bad for Bell because he did everything right, but then the strategy call wasn't the correct call. I think it would have been a correct call if we didn't get that caution lap 17, but the race didn't play out like that. So I gotta say, man, it was another, it was the wrong strategy call. And I said it already, deja vu for Joe Gibbs Racing. But still, you gotta be happy for the 20 team. They still won stage 2. They maximized the majority of their points besides getting that win. But their pit strategy call cost them. And that's all you can really say about that one. Now, this race, guys, I thought this was one of the best next-gen races for Phoenix. The championship race was chaos, but 750 horsepower, same tire wear was a big deal in this race. Tire failures, brake rotors, more horsepower. Your tires are worn out. Now you still have more horsepower, so you're trying to, hit that throttle down, but then the tires are worn out, so you're not able to have good drive off. It's everything you want. Strategy. Some big game-changing wrecks, right? Hit stop mistakes, man. I do think the horsepower was a big factor. It was something different that we didn't have last year. I would love to see a bigger increase in more horsepower too, man. Get that 900 horsepower, right? But I'm not an owner. I'm not paying the bills. I'm just a fan. Or a media member, as you can call me. Come on. I thought it was a great race. If I'm going to get right into it, my Rollie Rate for this freaking race will be like 8.3. You can say there was 86 laps under caution, so you can say that's not really good for racing. But the casual fans, I love seeing cars get torn up. Right? I love that stuff. I mean, if you go on YouTube and look up NASCAR crashes, those videos have millions of views because people just love watching NASCAR crashes. But also, there were some massive, scary crashes, which we'll talk about. But congrats to Ryan Blaney. Great way to start. First win for Ryan Blaney as a dad. So congratulations to him. Sadly, his wife, Gianna, and his son were not there. They were at home in North Carolina, so they couldn't celebrate from Phoenix. But really cool for Blaney. Great. It's probably going to be a fan favorite win. Great for the Blaney fans. That's awesome stuff right there. It'll be really curious how well can Blaney keep this streak going, right? Can he keep? Because I feel like Blaney, at the start of last year, was really fast, but just made a lot of mistakes. Their team made mistakes, right? Was involved in some crashes because of the mistakes, back in the pack. This is the one race I'll say for Ryan Blaney that his team made mistakes, which they've done in the past, but because his car was so good, he was able to make up for it. You don't want this to happen to Ryan Blaney. The worst thing to happen for Blaney is you're dominant again and you have these same pit road mistakes. You can't, that's the one thing, man. Out of all the mistakes to make, to have your pit crew been missing the lug nut, they missed their lug nut. They didn't tighten their lug nut. Twice, back-to-back pit stops, they struggled to get that one. I think it was the passenger side front tire, and then it was the rear tire the next stop. So that wasn't the same tire changer making the same mistake, not getting the thing tight. Now I get it, pit crew guys, man, it's every second, every tenth is so important, but man, those are very important, man. You cannot be cautioned. When you have that good of a car, you cannot be making those kind of mistakes on pit road, man. But congrats to Blaine, like I said. This race, a lot of big wrecks that we talked about. There was a lot of key tire failures. Tire failures were a big part. Now, stage one was caution free. Um, we talked about, Blaney passed the 22 and Logano on lap 48. It was 60 lap stage. Logano led every lap, I guess 48 laps until Blaney passed him. Blaney won stage one. Bell finished second. Bell started 12th in the race. He finished second in stage one. Hamlin started 11th in the race, finished 5th. Larson started second. He fell back. Larson fell from second to 14th. Cindric fell from third to sixth. Not that big of a deal. But then Kyle Zilich, the 88, went a lap down. Kyle Busch went a lap down. Brad Keselowski went a lap down in that race. To start stage two, Kyle Larson was too fast on pit road. Man, that was a big factor. Stage two was where we had starting to see those tire issues. Kyle Busch had a tire issue. He luckily, because the 97 had a tire and spun out, that saved Kyle Busch on that one. We saw a crash on lap 104 in stage two, where we saw the 7 get loose in turns 1 and 2, spin. He collected the 60. The 60 got into the 9. That was a big accident. What we also learned about, Alan Gufskin was saying, like, when you spin, you flat spot your tires. And that can also screw your strategy up, because now you just lost those tires because they're flat spotted. They're not useful. And you're not going to be, it's not worth running around on those tires. So that can really, spice up the strategy for you, or cost you opportunity to be aggressive because you lost a set of tires. They had 9 cents, but with all the cautions and tire failures, that really jostled up a lot of the strategies for some of these guys, which made it very interesting. That was a big wreck, but luckily, I wouldn't say it wasn't a big wreck. It was because all the guys were able to continue, but it definitely, it changed the outcome for those guys that were involved in the wreck. We go to page 2. Let me see. On lap 158, I just want to talk about the main points in this race because there was so much strategy. I mean, I'd be here all day trying to explain, this happened, this happened, this happened. Well, lap 158 was interesting. Noah Gragson blew a brake rotor on lap 158, hit the turn 1 wall hard. And then because of that, there was debris out of the racetrack. And I guess when cars were coming by through that area, the 88 of Kyle Zilich had a flat tire. The 71 had a tire that went down. The 24 that had a tire that went down. The 41 of Cole Custer had some piece of debris go through the brake rotor. And so all those cars had a flat tire because there was still debris in that area. Now, you can't really, NASCAR can only do so much with some of that debris. When you destroy a brake rotor, there is some massive chunks out there that maybe it's hard to see for the driver. And there's no spotters over there. And, unless they were to red flag it, I don't know that it was going to be any way that the teams would be able to avoid the debris, unless they were able to see it. Go lower, go below the line, not in the racing group. But that was a big outcome too, because that changed the outcome for those guys' races. They had to use a set of tires. They had to replace those tires that were flat. That was a big factor. Some strategy calls. Trying to think what else I see here. I'm just kind of going off of my notes. But this race was so impactful, guys. I have so many freaking notes. I don't usually do this, but I needed to. I'm trying to think. There was a time, though, where I saw the 17 and the 6. They stayed out, and they freaking felt like a freaking rock. They felt like, and then they ended up being like the outside of the top 25. I don't know when that was, but that was freaking wild. To end off stage 2 there, Hamlin went with 2 tires. I think Bell went with 4. Hamlin was able to leave for a couple laps, like 5 laps only, and then Bell passed it back to win stage 2 near the end there. With 7 laps to go in stage 2. 7 to go in stage 2, yeah. That was, so after that, okay, now I figured it out. So after that big caution with Noah Gragson, that's where we saw the 17 and the 6 stay out on old tires, and they felt like a rock. Yeah. Brian Priest dropped the 25th, and Keselowski dropped the 33rd. Christopher Bell won stage 2. Stage 3 start, big move there. Was Hamlin lost 7 spots on pit road. 20 car won the race off pit road. Oh yeah. Now we go to page 3. We're just going by this race, click by click. Let's see. Okay, this is where we get into some of the big wrecks we had. We saw the 16 go for a spin there early in stage 2 with about 102 laps to go. The 60 spun towards turn 1, before turn 1, really, because the 88 of Kyle Zilch got into him. But the reason 88 of Kyle Zilch got in to Ryan Preece was because the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got in the back of 88. Now it's kind of where the dog leg is. It's kind of, you're turning the wheel there. It's a fast section, so you can get loose there because if your car isn't handling right or the tire wear, and the 47 just got too close to the 88. And the 88 got into the 60, but luckily no big accidents there. But then that's where it came down to our first big accident on the restart on lap 218, I believe it was. I have 217, I think it was 218. The 22 got into the 1. He was pushing the 1 down the dog leg because they cut that dog leg on the restarts 4 or 5 wide. He was on the rear in that 1, didn't let off, and the 1 just got loose, shot up the racetrack. And he got into the 48 of Anthony Alfredo, subbing in for Alex Bowman. And the 48 got full blown, all 4 tires off the freaking ground. And then he also, because the 2 was right next to the 48, made contact with the 2. I think the front 2 tires came off the freaking ground for the 2, and he went diving into the outside wall. Massive hits. I mean, Phoenix may be a 1 mile racetrack, but that place, going into turn 1, you are hauling. And when you're not expecting to get hit, that's when the impacts are big, because they weren't braking, they were in the gas. So massive hits. Alfredo was right in there. I mean, he started up bad. He didn't qualify great because he's in the car for the first time, hasn't been in. But I think, strategy-wise, he was in the mix there, and the 2 car, Center was a top 5 car. I felt like Penske overall was super fast, but his day went goodbye. And that's really bad for, mainly Cinder because he's going to be racing for points. And he had a fast car, man. And then, what else happened in stage 3, which we all know what happened at the end. Lap 246 that we talked about was where the 12, after all those mistakes they made on pit road, was where he finally was able to get the second. He was running down the 20. He was faster than the 20, but then for a couple laps there before lap 246, Bell was just aero blocking. Wherever Blaney went, Bell went. He blocked him. And then Blaney said, you know what? I ain't having it. I'm using the bumper. He drove in. And he was bumping kind of on the driver's side quarter panel and got Bell washed up. And then Blaney got the outside. It was a drag race. And at that same time, SVG again had a flat tire. Actually, he got loose out of turns 3 and 4 and spun out. That's what led the caution to come out. And that then was another big turning point. We had some pit stops. Blaney lost a spot after that. Hamlin lost 2 spots. Wallace lost 2 spots. Gibbs gained 2. Logano gained 2. Larson gained 2 there. This is the pit stops after the lap 246 crash with the 97 spinning. I guess the Kyle Busch also had another flat tire there. He had 2. The 17 was too fast on pit road. That kind of killed the 17's day. But then on lap 253, the restart, Bell takes the lead on the restart. And then on lap 254, the next massive crash, Joey Logano is cutting down the dog leg, right? The dog leg, they cut the dog leg. They go below the yellow line, the non-racing surface. And that's where then the 22 came back up on the main racing surface above the yellow line. Well, the 16 was there when the 22 merged back up, and the 22 clipped the 16. And the 2 kind of went sideways a little bit above the 16, and then he washed back down the track, and then washed back up the track and took out the 21 in the 7 car. Who was all involved? I just want to make sure. Yeah, the 21 and the 7 were the biggest impacts. I think the Bella Wallace had some contact in that race, in that wreck too. It was a big impact for those guys as well. Joe Logano made 2 mistakes. The first one, he survived that one. Cost a bunch of cars their day. But this one, he finally paid for a mistake, man. So, kind of rare, because this is also one of those races where Logano had a number 1 pit stall, and he was, I think, going to be in contention for definitely a top 10 with the speed he had. And he cost himself, made a mistake. So that was a big game-changing movement, because there's a lot of guys in there competing for top 10s, and their day was over. And then we go to page 4. And then that's where we kind of talked about the strategy in this race. There was a restart on lap 264. The 20 car, Christopher Bell, passed the 54. They were side by side there, and then exiting turn 3, the 20 took the lead. And then Bell cleared Gibbs, set sail, and then that's where we saw Blaney get up to second with about 30 laps to go. Then, like I talked about, it didn't seem like Blaney was going to be able to get back up there. He looked like he lost a little bit. I mean, the tires were coming into a factor. He was from 3 seconds back to now 3.5 seconds back. But the caution comes out because of Ty Dillon. And then we had our pit stops with 22 to go. And that was where the game-changing pit stops happened, where Bell was the leader. But he chose to pit for 4 tires. Blaney chose to go for a different strategy and go for 2 tires. And I really do wonder if they're listening to each other's radios and figuring out what they're going to do, or this was just saying, this is what we're going to do, we're going to see how it goes. Because it was the right strategy for Blaney. And there were so many people that went for 2 tires, it also made Bell's 4 tires. He had to work for it more. Because also Denny Hamlin was another guy that went with 4 tires, too. And I think Van Gisbergen and Busch, who were also in the top 10, they went for 2 tires as well. I think Hamlin was the next guy on 4 tires who was outside the top 10, who still ended up finishing 5th. But that was a game-changing moment, man. The 4 tires could have worked if we didn't get that caution on lap 17 that we did on that first restart. But it didn't work out that way, and Blaney gets to win. Now, the one thing I didn't forget from this review I just did, the 19 of Chris. Now, one thing I didn't forget from this, which I've done that before, where I forget something important, in stage 2, the 19 of Chase Briscoe on lap 132 hit a turn 3 wall. I believe he blew a brake rotor or a tire that went down. It was one of the 2 combinations there. I believe it was a brake rotor, and he hit the outside wall in turn 3. He actually kind of looked like he got airborne when he hit the wall too. It was a big impact too, really hard impact. And that was a big game-changing moment in this race because for Chase Briscoe's sake, he's a guy that, all right, the first 3 races can go either way. Well, now you're at your bread and butter tracks. You're at a track you won at before in the Stewart House cars. You're in Jogo's racing equipment. And now I have this issue, which really is, it's not something you can control. I mean, the brakes, using the brakes a lot, the aggressiveness with the tires, it works or sometimes it doesn't work. And this time it didn't work out for the 19 team. They paid for it. He's minus 53 points from the 16th spot. But Chase Briscoe's championship hopes could already be over on week 4 because, like I already talked about this, the top NASCAR has done simulations. They found that the top 3 guys, if you start chasing the top 3 in points, 69% of the time, you're going to win a championship. And if you're in the top 3 to start the chase. That's what NASCAR's found. So Chase Briscoe, of course, he can go on a hot tear. But he's not going to just be able to get to that top 3 by just, a win here and a win here. He's going to have to really go and put some. Now, one thing I didn't forget to talk about, Chase Briscoe on lap 132 hit the outside wall. He was running top 5 there. Outside wall in turn 3, massive impact. I believe it was a brake rotor that exploded. Tire came down with it as well. Hard impact. This is massive. The first 3 races of the season, it's Daytona, Atlanta, and Kona. Those races can go either way, right? Well, when you get to a Phoenix, this is your bread and butter tracks. This is a race you're going to have now. If you lay off the first 3 races, you're going to have these races. And to crash out, that's now bad. He's minus 53 from the top 16. The top 16 make it. Well, his championship hopes may be over overall because what we learned is when NASCAR has done simulations, 69% of the time the champion came from the top 3 in the chase, man. So he's already putting himself in really a really bad spot. Now, some of it, you can't control a brake rotor. I mean, that's only, everyone, there's many guys that blew a brake rotor today. I don't think it's like that Chase Briscoe's being more aggressive on the brakes. It's just hot day. Tire wear matters, more horsepower. All those things can lead up to a brake rotor. And that is a bad, very unfortunate situation for the 19. And now they're going to have to get out of that 53-point hole just to even get to the top 16, just to even make the playoffs. Now, let's talk about some of our top finishers in this race. Then we'll look at points. Blaney is your winner. Second, Christopher Bell. Kyle Larson, third. He won a lap down, or because he spun on pit road, but he wasn't the best car. Struggled. But hey, late race caution, pit stops, survives and finishes third. Better than what their car was, man. Fourth, Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs, man, a lot of things been talking about Ty Gibbs. Chris Gabehart lawsuit with Juggins Racing. There's been a lot of stuff talked about him to come out fourth and kind of kill the noise. Now, I do find it very interesting in his post-race interview with Fox. There was a thing that people were talking about. I'll highlight it here. But I'm very happy with my team. All the guys, I'm with the right guys. Hint that, the right guys. That makes a difference. So we're running good because of that. It shows. The reason the right guys is a big deal because there's been stuff that Chris Gabehart has said about Ty Gibbs. He's not held to the same standards. Juggins Racing is in a hostile environment. And also, the right guys, is he taking a shot towards Gabehart like Gabehart wasn't the right guy? They didn't find that much more success with Gabehart under the pit box. I mean, they didn't win a race. Not saying that was Gabehart's fault. Was that Ty Gibbs' fault? Was that a strategy issue? I don't know. But there's been a lot of stuff going on with that lawsuit. I mean, there was stuff that came out that Juggins Racing hired a private investigator to, spy on Chris Gabehart. It's some wild stuff, man. But that's a finishing fourth for Ty Gibbs to kind of quieten the noise, right? You always know when there's a lot of outside things going on, usually can affect the driver today and not affect Ty Gibbs. Fourth place finish, Denny Hamlin, finishing fifth, a place that broke his heart in the fall. He comes out here, and to me, Denny Hamlin has not lost a step. He was not the fastest car in this race. He was just good enough. He's probably, third place car. He was a top 5 car, I felt like, and he finishes fifth where he deserved. Clean day, and their pit stops were a little bit slow, but can't ask for a much more complete day than what he had for what the car they had. So good day for Denny. Bubba Wallace, 6th. William Byron, 7th. Tyler Reddick's streak comes to an end. He was fast. He was a top 10 car, just not where they needed to be. They just weren't. They were not. The 45 was not the 12. It wasn't the 20. But he's still a points leader. Bubba Wallace finishing 6th. 23-11, showing that consistent speed, to be. Showing that consistent speed. 9th, Michael McDowell. 10th, Eric Jones. 11th, Shane Van Gisbergen finishing 11th. Wow. Ty Gillen finishing 12th. 13th, Ryan Preece. That's good for Ryan Preece. 14th, Chris Buescher. 15th, Brad Keselowski. A top 15 day for RFK. For what some of those guys' days were looking like, you can't ask for much more either there. And then Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch, RCR finishes 16th and 17th. There was some frustration on the radio from the 18 team. I don't know what part this was. I don't know if this was after Kyle Busch's first flat tire or a second, but from someone on the radio is frustrated with the driver. Eric Eastep got the quote, "All we had to do was limp to the freaking caution. I'm trying to get him to conserve. Take care of it. There's only so much I can do. I'm holding a headset, not a steering wheel. Kyle Busch was in the free pass but had to pit early for a flat tire, so we'll be stuck a lap down." I think this was after. I don't know if this was before. This might have been his first flat tire because he was a lap down after stage 1 and then got a flat tire. Look, man, Kyle Busch, for some reason, well, we already know this car is not suiting his driving style, and we don't know if it's him or is it. Well, we know the driving style isn't suiting him, so that's more of a him. But we don't know if the speed's also hurting him, right? It could be a combination of both. But, trying to tell Kyle Busch to slow it down you know, it's probably, you know, who are you, right, to tell Kyle Busch how to drive a race car, right? But, I mean, that is what a crew chief or a spotter is supposed to do. But right now, all signs are not looking good for Kyle Busch. I mean, they're not having a speed. They have Jim Pullman, new crew chief. Um, it'll be curious what silly season looks like for him. Unless they're able to turn around and really start having speed, win a race or two, Kyle Busch could be looking, definitely, he could be looking somewhere else for next year. I know there's a lot of rumblings about Spire, but look, man, if Daniel Suarez keeps doing what he's doing, he'll probably stay in that 7 car. He's out funding. I don't know. We're getting too far into the weeds with that one, but not the day that Kyle Busch, of course, wanted. That was really the main stuff. Carson Hocevar is the other guy I wanted to bring up. Ronnie Herbst, 18th, not bad for him. Carson Hocevar finishes 20th. He was in the mix there. Well, he missed the Ross Chastain crash from Joey Logano. Like, it was a close call, so that was good for him. Chase Elliott finishes 23rd. That was a salvaged okay day. Was involved in an early accident and stuff like that. I think he was also involved in another accident. It might have been the one with Joey and AJ Allgaier that then had Josh Berry and Daniel Suarez involved there. And then Cody Ware, I gotta say, isn't finishing 24th in that Red car is actually kind of probably a win-win day for him. But there was also a lot of accidents and stuff. That's probably why he finished where he finished. But good day, way to survive. All right, now the points is where we want to get a little bit interesting here. Talk about that. Do. Let me go. Hey, all right. Mm-hmm. So Rennick is plus 127. He's in first. Blaney is in second, plus 67. Wallace is in third, plus 55. Chase Elliott is fourth, plus 30. SVG is fifth, plus 18. A tie for sixth is Bell, plus 15, and Logano, plus 15 as well. Tie for eighth, McDowell is plus 13, Busher plus 13th. 10th in the point standings is Larson, 11th. Byron is 11th in the point standings, plus 10. Denny Hamlin finally gets in the top 16 and 12th, plus 9. AJ Allmendinger is in 13th, plus 7. Carson Hocevar is 14th, plus 5. In 15th is Gibbs, plus 3. In 16th is Keselowski, plus 2, still in the top 16. And then Suarez is minus 2 out. Priest is minus 8 out. Zane Smith is minus 15 out. Kyle Busch is minus 19 out. Ty Dillon is minus 24 out. And John Hunter Nemechek is minus 25 out. Ty Dillon is minus 24 out. I want to make sure I said that right. And then we already talked about Chase Briscoe, a notable guy that's minus 53 out from the top 16 as well. So those guys have some work to do, but it's still early in the season. But, when it comes to Chase Briscoe's case, he's a guy that is expecting to go win a championship and compete for a championship. Now, to wrap this Cup Series stuff up, there was 23 lane changes, 8 leaders in the race. Christopher Bell led the most laps, 176 laps, excuse me. Joey Logano led 73 laps, second most. Ryan Blaney led third most in 28 laps. Josh Berry led fourth most, 13. Ty Gibbs led fifth most, 12. Denny Hamlin led sixth most, 5. Ryan Preece led 7th most, 4th, and William Byron led 1 lap, 8th most. 23 lane changes, man. It definitely felt like that. There was just so much that happened, man. So many, just strategy-wise, is why it really just threw this whole field all upside down and everything. Now, man, 12 cautions for 86 laps, guys. 12 cautions for 86 laps. This race was 312 laps. That is insane. Almost 100 laps under caution. So I don't know how people view that, The casual fans probably like it. Like I said, I think earlier in that podcast, but I don't know. I think it kills some of the rhythm of the race. I will say this, guys. I'm becoming a bigger fan of getting rid of the cautions for the stage ends. I just think the race kills the flow. I would love to see more green flag pit stops. I think it puts more pressure on the Cup Series pit crews. And this is a big, high-pressured sport. Put a little more pressure on the guys. Ain't going to hurt them. It probably makes the teams better. I think it also keeps the flow going, right? I just said that. Like, you can probably get these races done sooner if you just didn't throw in unnecessary cautions, because that unnecessary caution, like a stage ring, could lead to, leads to a restart. That restart can lead to another caution. And then, as you know, they say, cautions breed cautions. But I'm not going to ding it. Sometimes the races do need a caution because they are pretty stale. But that is the Cup Series race. Let's talk about the O'Reilly Series race. Justin Allgaier gets the win. He passed Justin Love with about 11 laps to go. It was a really fun race. Strategy was an interesting part. Tire wear matter. I thought Carson Quapple had the best car at the end of this race. With 62 laps to go, he passed Justin Love for the lead. And then pit stops happened. The 00 Sheldon Creed, he short pitted. He came out in the leader after pit cycles. Then the one ran him back down. And second, because the lap traffic kind of slowed the 00 down. But then we got a caution. And then there was a couple of restarts there that the one didn't have what he needed there. Lost some spots. The 2 was able to take the lead. And then here came the 7. And the 7 came on strong, made a pass with 11 laps to go. I thought the Haas factory cars were fast. They were top 5. They finished top 5. That was really, really impressive. We talk about our top 10 finishers in this race. Justin Allgaier was first. Second is Jesse Love. Carson Quapple third. Sheldon Creed is fourth. Fifth, Sam Mayer. Sixth, Sammy Smith. Seventh, Jeb Burton. Eighth, Rajak Ruth. Ninth, Corey Day. And 10th, Anthony Alfredo. Jeb Burton and Rajak Ruth, 7th and 8th. Jordan Anderson Racing, what a race for those guys. They're a top 15, they're a top 20 day. They've had a couple top 10s, but it's very rare for a team that's on a lower budget to come out there and show us hit my speed. It's really, really cool to see. It's a great story to talk about. Another thing is Jeremy Clemens. He was the guy that passed, I think, William Byron for like 6 in this race. Jeremy Clemens Racing has an alliance with Haas Factory Team. I think Haas Factory Team also has an alliance with Hendrick Motorsports. I don't know if that's just for Cup Series and O'Reilly, I'm not sure. But that alliance with Jeremy Clemens and Haas Factory Team is paying off for Jeremy Clemens Racing. For Roger Caruth, no, in a Jordan Anderson racing car to come out there with a 9th place finish. I mean, not a 9th place finish, an 8th place finish. That's got to be really cool for him. He's not running full time to 88, so these races are important for points wise. And then Corey Day finishing 9th after all the stuff we talked about with him is a great day for him. William Byron finished 13th. Austin Hill finished 12th. Parrett left 14th. 15th, Taylor Gray. 16th, Brandon Jones. 17th, Ryan Sieg. 18th, Brent Cruz. Another guy, 17 years old. This will be his last race he runs in the O'Reilly Series at 17 years old. We also knew there was a big crash with William Sawatch that was involved. That was in stage. That was near the end of the race there. I want to say something about the Jones Racing team. So Brandon Jones in the 19 is in his mid-20s, Menards, right? But then you have Taylor Gray in the 54, who's 20 years old, only 20 years old. Then William Sawatch in the 18 car is 19 years old. 19 years old. And then Brent Cruz is 17 years old. He'll soon be 18 when he goes to Martinsville in I guess it would be 3 weeks. One of those 4 guys is probably going to replace Denny Hamlin. But we don't know if Denny Hamlin this year and next year he's contract to race. I know Denny said he doesn't want to leave the sport knowing that he doesn't want to leave the sport sucking very much. He wants to leave the sport knowing that he could win another race. Now, if Denny's winning races, right, then maybe he doesn't want to retire. He wants to just keep rolling this thing out and keep winning races and keep making history, right? But if not, we'll probably know by the end of this year if Denny Hamlin is going to retire next year. That's probably what we're going to know. But I'll be curious what route this show is racing. Like, I think those 4 guys are competing for the next spot, and they're all freaking young. Now, Brandon Jones is the oldest one, but he's still, he's in his mid-20s. He's more, when Denny Hamlin got in the sport, and he was like 24, 25. That's kind of more what Brandon Jones is. That's how old Brandon Jones is, right? Or, Joe Racing can go with a guy like, if Brent Cruz were to get the 11, he would end up being, I think, 20, he would end up being 20 years old by the time he got in that 11 car. And then Taylor Gray would be like 22 years old. So it's going to be very curious that right there, of course, those teammates want to help each other, but they're also could be racing for the next Cup Series spot. Because we all know that Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, and Ty Gibbs, they're all young enough and good enough that they ain't going anywhere. So the only spot that Gibbs has open for the future is at 11. So we'll see how it goes. Unless Gibbs goes and gets some guy off the market that's not a part of their organization yet. Well, guys, that's a wrap on today's podcast. Hope you enjoyed. Great weekend at Phoenix. Excited for Las Vegas. Like I said, mile and a half racing, baby. Stay tuned to all my short form content from this week. And I hope you guys have a good week. See you next weekend after Las Vegas. Goodbye.